Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of the Stay Focused podcast. We're long overdue for this, man. This is a blessing to have this brother on. Someone who I actually followed through high school and kind of kept tabs on him because, just being interested in the next generation of athletes that I used to watch. So people like Anquan, people like, of course, we got Shador, we got people in baseball now, we got basketball, the next generation of former athletes. So it's an honor to be able to talk to this brother face to face, man. But without further ado, let me introduce current Buffalo Bull, Anquan Boldin Jr., brother. What's up, man?
What's going on, man?
Hey, thank you for doing this, man. Thank you for taking time. It's a pleasure
No
to have
doubt,
you
man.
on.
Thanks for
You're
having me.
actually the second Buffalo representative. I had Andy Isabella, who at the time was playing for the Buffalo Bills. So you're the
Yeah.
second Buffalo representative, first college Buffalo guy, man. But nah, man, thank you so much for doing this. What's going on with you right now? I know the season's come to an end, but what do you got going on right now?
Man, not much. I'm on spring break right now, so I'm home.
Okay.
I'm in Florida.
Man, what's that weather transition like, going from Florida to Buffalo? I know Buffalo's got history and is known for being very cold. I think the winters are pretty cruel up there. What was that transition like for you?
It's a big jump, being able to wear shorts outside. So I'm grateful for that, of course.
No, absolutely. I'm not a cold weather guy at all. I'm in Texas, so it's starting to warm up a little bit down here, and I'm grateful for that
Yeah.
because cold to me and cold to people in Buffalo are probably two
No,
totally
that's two
different
different
things.
things.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you already know. So, nah, man. But it's been dope to see you and other athletes that are coming in from that next wave of like I said, man, in the opening of athletes that I used to watch growing up, man. So, um, what has it been like for you? Take me back to like your St. Andrews days. Obviously, state championship.
Yeah.
Choosing basketball, man. What led you to choosing basketball over football? And were you ever playing football prior to choosing strictly basketball?
Yeah. I was playing football in like middle school. I think I
Okay.
stopped around like seventh grade, right around like
Okay.
tackle football came into play.
Mhm.
But the reason I chose basketball is because I didn't want to be compared to my dad in the sense of like us both playing football. Like I kind of wanted to create my own path.
No, absolutely. And you have the size. You got some extra inches on you. So
Yeah.
it definitely, basketball, man. Obviously you're a shooting guard. Or yeah, and you said I know I heard you say that you kinda looked at someone like Anthony Edwards as, someone that you kinda model your game after. Is that pretty
Yeah.
accurate? I know you're pretty aggressive the way you drive just like Anthony Edwards does, your tenacity, but who did you watch growing up, like, prior to, coming into where you're at now, before Anthony Edwards got into the league? Who were you kinda watching as a kid?
Man, then my first ever favorite player was Derrick Rose. Him, Russell Westbrook, and of course LeBron when he was playing down here in Miami.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, that Miami LeBron was different. He was
Yeah.
on a different level. I remember watching I think LeBron was he's probably the guy that that I can say I've watched from beginning to obviously now. So from '03 till when he got drafted in '03 to till
Yeah.
now. So it's just crazy to see like and to think that that was over 20 years ago.
It's crazy.
And I think I was in 7th or I think I was in 7th or 8th grade at the time when he got drafted or when he was coming out of high school. Because I remember the hype, of him coming out and, he's someone I just, grasped onto and just followed throughout his whole career too, man. So it's crazy to see what he's doing at this level now.
Right.
Obviously, you know what goes into being a basketball player. Take me back, man, to the St. Andrews days, Coach O'Connell, and those guys, man. What did they instill in you to prepare you for where you're at now at Buffalo?
Well, it was a fun just being around. It was a fun group of guys.
Yeah.
That team, the 2 years I was there before I went to IMG, it was really good. And I feel like each school I left and transferred to it showed me that there was different levels of this. So
Mm.
yeah.
What led you to making that decision to go to IMG? I know it's known for being more like an advanced as far as competition, everything like that. What led you to make that decision? Was it your junior year when you transferred to
Yeah.
to IMG?
My going into my senior year.
Going into your senior, yeah. What led
Yeah.
you to that decision?
I mean, really just the comp. I had a really good summer in AAU ball, so I had got an invite from one of the coaches on the IMG staff, and then it was just like playing better competition and really just getting ready for college because at that point I knew I wanted to play college basketball, and I felt like why not take this opportunity?
And man, yeah, and you said you chose basketball not to live in your father's shadow. What was his support like when you chose basketball and you're like, man, this is what I'm gonna do? Obviously, I mean, going back, like obviously he supported you, but what
Yeah,
did he kind of instill in? Was he a basketball player in high school as well?
yeah. He played multiple sports.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
did track, baseball. Like he did a lot. So yeah,
yeah. What did he instill in you as far as, like, motivation for you to continue growing? I mean, obviously, he wants the best for his son, obviously, he wants you
yeah.
to create your own path and your own legacy. What were some words of advice that he gave you going to that focus on basketball?
Well, he always said, always be the hardest worker in the gym, no matter what.
Gotcha.
Um, One thing that stuck the most was if you work as hard as you can to prepare the best you can, then you go out there and just let the results speak for itself. You shouldn't be nervous at all.
Yeah, I remember you said, in an interview that you were doing while you were in high school, you were trying to or I think you were in Buffalo, and you said you were trying to improve on being more vocal and just being more of a that leader, and now you're going into your this will be going into your junior year, your 3rd year at Buffalo next year. What have you learned so far throughout these first 2 years?
Definitely had some adversity, but just learning how to be a leader in tough times. Um, I feel like that makes a lot of people respect you even more because it's easy to get quiet, when things aren't going good or not be the guy that some people point at. So I would definitely say being a more vocal leader and just always doing the right thing and playing the right way no matter what.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, no, I feel that 100%. And now you're gonna be looked at as more of a leader role, kinda like you said, in high school, when you were going into your junior, senior year, um, you gotta be people are looking at you as the vet now. So,
Yeah.
they're gonna be looking at you to be more vocal, to be a leader. Y'all won the state championship your junior season at St. Andrews?
My sophomore season.
Your sophomore season, so you okay.
Yeah.
Man, and so winning that championship your sophomore season, was that like did that light a fire in you for, like, the competition aspect? I know your dad said, that was something he never got to do is win a state title. He never
Yeah.
won a high school. He made it to state, but he never got to win that. That's one thing that you've already accomplished that he never got to, man.
Yeah.
So, now that you're in Buffalo, what do you look to accomplish in these next couple years? Obviously, I know the end goal is obviously to play in the NBA. It's obviously to be the greatest that you could be. But what are some personal goals that you've set for yourself, for these next 2 years?
For myself, I want to be one of the best defensive players in my conference. And I mean, I want to win the conference tournament and I want to, play in the NCAA tournament. That's always been a dream of mine since I was younger. So
Man, what year was it? Didn't Buffalo make a run recently, like in the
yeah, I
NCAA
think
tournament?
2018, I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
man. I love March Madness, bro. Like I love
Man, it's fun.
watching, like I really don't get to watch too much college basketball like during the season. I'll be honest with you. I don't really get a chance to watch too many games. But I know like obviously now March Madness is kicking off. So I would definitely be locked in. And that's when you kind of learn about these hidden gems. I remember, the Stephen Curry days when he went off. I remember CJ McCollum, all the Dame Lillards, people that you didn't know about really. Like you might have heard their name before, but you never got to see them play, obviously being at those smaller schools. So
Yeah.
March Madness always shines that light on those athletes that you may not
Mhm.
know of, like the John Morants at
Mhm.
Murray State and people like that, man. So yeah, I could definitely understand that because March Madness is just different, bro. And you never know what could happen. Like we've seen all these
Right.
Cinderella stories. We've seen like the Butler runs. We've seen what school was that a long time ago? It was like Iona or someone like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's always these schools that you've never heard of in your life, or like the average person never heard of in their life, and all of a sudden they're like in the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight and stuff like that. So, man, that's always like one of my favorite times of year. Following basketball, I didn't really start following basketball, I would say, until like maybe the late 2000s, like early. 2010s, really heavy. I was more a football guy. Um, obviously watching people like your dad and people like that back in those days. And I was a baseball guy. Me and my dad were like big Ranger fans, so I was
I
always
got
locked
you.
into baseball. So basketball, I kind of got into late, but it was really always college basketball for me. I really love college basketball, so obviously following players like into the draft and then kind of keeping up with them along the way. And I was really big on high school sports too, so I got to like I would always watch, like, the recruiting boards and see, like, who the next guy was and kinda follow them throughout their high school career, like, their last year or 2 of high school, and, I remember the first class that I really remember because it was around my era was, like, the Julio Jones class,
Yeah.
like, those guys, and so, like, watching them go from high school to college and and then watching them in the NFL, and then to retirement, like, that's what makes me feel super old is, like, seeing people come in, go through college, go through, like, a whole 10, 15-year NFL career, and then retire, man, so, no, it's just a blessing to see, bro. Obviously, um, I've been blessed to watch a lot of great athletes come through, and like I said, this next generation is just exciting to watch, man. I recently was looking at, the recruiting board, and there was always some familiar names, like, the next generation, like, you see a lot of juniors coming through, or you see a last name that
Mhm.
has to be, like, resonate with someone that played. It's
Yeah.
not a common last name. Um, but man, there's a picture that I was gonna pull up. There's a picture and it's your dad and he's holding I think it's Ashton, your brother, right?
Yeah, my little brother,
And
yeah.
you're next to him, and it's the Super Bowl, man. When they won, I think it's Super Bowl 47, when they won, that picture of him holding your brother and you were right next to him. What do you remember about, I know you talked about the Ravens organization being like a family to you and somewhere you can always go back and be embraced. What do you remember about those times and specifically that game?
Well, it was a hectic game, to be honest. Like, I remember that whole weekend being hectic because my, uh my majority of my family was at that game, so, it's a lot of people on top of that, and just the game itself, it was a great game, but obviously, you'd want it to selfishly, you wanna be a blowout,
Yeah,
but I just remember I wanted him to win so bad because I remember a few years prior, when he was playing with the Cardinals, he lost one. So I want him to win really bad, but I guess the whole experience with Baltimore was a great experience. I mean, as soon as we touched down from Arizona, we felt like being embraced as a family. I mean, they helped me find the school I went to, and I still talk to people from out there to this day. Um, Even the people in our neighborhood, like, we would always go to the house on Fridays. We would, they would cook up food and we'd go over there, just enjoy it. Like, I play with the kids my age. I mean, I still talk to them to this day. So just the state of Maryland, to be honest, they embraced us because, coming from Arizona, we didn't really know a whole bunch of people. They were coming from the West Coast. So yeah.
man, I remember that game too. That's when the lights cut off, right? Everything was
Yeah.
all crazy. Yeah, so that was that the Beyonce thing?
That was
The
The
halftime
Beyonce
the
concert.
Beyonce thing, the lights cutting off, the hard bowl because it was both of them
Uh-huh.
coaching. Um, your dad being there, Flacco. Man, Ray Lewis last
Mhm.
hoorah, last game. Man, yeah, what was that? That was 11 years ago? Was it 13? 2013?
Yeah,
It's been a while.
2013, yeah. I think so, yeah.
2013, so, man, it's crazy that much time has passed, man, but just
Right.
being for yourself, being able to be around, like, a locker room and getting that experience that a lot of kids don't get, obviously. A lot of people don't get to hang around, players or at stadiums or practices or did that help you as a child kinda get that envision of, "This could be my future as an athlete?" Does it motivate you?
It definitely motivates me. I mean, it just shows you, like, what a pro looks like,
Yeah,
everyone may not have the sense of what their day-to-day life is, but, I mean, I lived with one. I went to his job, like, I saw the ins and out. I was in, like, team meetings, like, I see how serious they take it, and, like, I guess the advantage was, seeing how they take care of their bodies, I mean, like, around the clock, and, I mean, I started that at an early age just from watching them. So, I mean, a lot of things definitely help from just being in a locker room with them.
man, yeah, I definitely understand that, you know, last dad question, but, we all know Anquan Boldin, the receiver, his accolades, the Super Bowl champion, the Pro Bowler. But one thing that always stood out to me was the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. His role in his activism, his faith. Um, what about Anquan Boldin, the father? What did he instill in you as a child, that led you to where you're at now as far as, your motivation, your work ethic, your faith, everything? What did he instill in you just as a father?
I mean, he's the best father ever, even though like he was playing football and stuff. He always made time to, like little stuff like do my homework or help my little brother out. But he's instilled in us, just having a great relationship with God. I feel like he's
Mm.
always put that first in his life and instilled in us, and we all put it first in our lives.
Man, no, that's huge. That's huge. Obviously, me and my dad were close as well, and I can honestly say that I wouldn't have a lot of things that, he instilled in me went unnoticed until, he passed away in 2019. So, um, a lot of that stuff that he told me kind of is embedded. It was like embedded in the back of my brain, but now
Yeah.
it comes to the forefront. So like a lot of stuff that he told me that I might not have thought about back then, it's like I think about it all the time now. Like I really, I always constantly will see something that reminds me of something he said, or it'll be something small too, but I remember it, So I know how important, the father role is. I have 3 kids now myself. So I just know how important that is. That's why I had to ask, man, like the father role is
Yeah.
so huge. And that's the stuff that we don't get to see, obviously, behind the scenes. As a father, obviously we see you on the field and stuff like that, which is
Hmm.
it's always amazing to see. Like I love that so much. Like how like Jason Tatum brings Deuce to all the games and he's always
Yeah.
there with them. Like and like how Derrick Rose used to bring his son PJ around. Stuff like that, man. Like I love seeing that. Like there's some haters out there that be like, man, the kids
Yeah, of
shouldn't be there,
course.
but like you said, it motivates you. Like you never know what those kids' future holds, and that might be something that, helps them get to that level eventually. So, man, thank you for sharing that, bro. Because that was
Yeah.
something I had to ask. And talk about like your faith, man. What was it growing up, in the house? Like, what was the atmosphere like as far as your faith, man? Were y'all church? Obviously he played on Sundays, so
Yeah.
he was so he wasn't there. Well, what was that like? How was he able to still instill that faith in you as a child?
I mean, in during the season, yeah, we didn't go to church, but off season, yeah, it was church every Sunday, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
there was no question about it. But
Yeah.
I would just say, just like the little things, like even at night, like we would just go over read the Bible sometimes, or just like
Mhm.
like if I had any questions about stuff I was reading with him, like he was an open
Yeah.
book. I could always ask it because he reads his Bible every single day. Like he brings it with him everywhere. So
Man, no, that's huge, and I read to my kids at night, like, that's, like, our bedtime routine.
yeah.
So it's dope to hear you say that because, you know, I mean, I feel like it's obviously good for them to hear the word and for me to do stuff like that. So for you to talk about it, years later, I pray that that's what, my kids do as well. Like when they're older, they'll be like, yeah, my dad used to read to us and take us
Mhm.
places, and like even at my performances, like they'll be with me like on stage. Like it's like, come on,
Mhm.
like I'll give them the microphone and let them go. Um,
Yeah.
so, and I haven't been doing Christian hip hop forever. Like this is really new, kind of new to me. Um, I was performing in clubs, I was doing all these things. Like, so for them to be able to come to the events, they're all family friendly, obviously. They're all either at a church or at a park, somewhere like that they can
Yeah.
go, and hear the word, hear people sharing testimonies, hear people, praying and just seeing a whole new light that I didn't get to see like that. So, man, it's dope to hear like the impact that it has on you from a child till now, because that's what, as a dad, that's your goal. That's your goal
Of course.
to instill in your children, so when they grow up, they can look back and see, like, it paid off, and that's my goal as a father for sure. Um, so yeah, bro, thank you for sharing that too.
Yeah.
Um, how is your faith, like, motivated you or got you through, like, your obstacles? You said, you faced some adversity this past season, or, from your transition from high school to college. How do you kinda lean on Christ and through all of that? What is something that you think about whenever you're facing, that adversity?
Man, I really just got into more of my Bible every single time, like even more adversity hit. Like I think of my probably my favorite story in the Bible is the Exodus of Egypt.
Yeah.
And I always just think of that like they didn't know where they was going. They was in the wilderness like for 40 years. So it's like they don't know where they're going, but they just had to trust God. I mean, obviously it took a while, but it finally happened. That's what I kind of see it as.
For sure. For sure. And I was actually just going through a season where, I kinda get lost in like all the work that we do. Obviously you're busy, you gotta practice, you got games, you got sometimes like even as a Christian artist or a Christian minister or whatever, you get lost in the work. And sometimes you forget to take time for yourself to lock in with God and go to that prayer closet, go to the word yourself. And I was talking about the other day how you pour so much out to others, you give and you give, but then you don't have anything left. Like it's like you have a
Mhm.
cup of water and that water becomes empty because you poured it out to others, you don't have any water left. So I had to kind of take a step back and kind of refill my cup so I can pour out again. So like getting back into the word is huge, like focusing on God for yourself and not trying to just work yourself to death. Like that's something that I was doing, I got convicted on and, had to reshift my focus a lot.
Right.
So that's I kinda took a break, like, from podcasting, I kinda took a break from making music, dropping music, just to kinda refocus back, but I think we all need that from time to time,
Yeah, for sure.
and, like you said, you gotta stay in your word, you gotta take it with you wherever you go. Luckily, we have apps now, like, there's no excuse
Yeah,
now, like,
there's no excuse at
you
all.
there's no excuse, like, you could be on a bus or wherever you're at and pull out your phone, you got the Bible app. You just gotta make sure you
Right.
stay on that, don't start scrolling on TikTok or
On
whatever else
TikTok on
that
that.
man, yeah, bro, nah. Do you listen to, like, Christian hip hop at all?
I do, yeah. There's a couple of artists. Like my dad used to always well, he still plays it. And
Yeah.
whenever I ride with him, so like I kind of took a couple of artists from him.
Who are some artists that you know or that you listen to, like, on the regular that you would say?
What's his name? Lecrae.
Gray?
That was a big one.
Yeah.
Andy Mineo, I think
Andy
is his
Mineo?
name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a couple more. I just they're on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, yeah. Now you probably know
Yeah.
the songs that's man, it was like a whole new world for me because I was in secular for so long and, coming into CHH, Christian hip hop, it was like a whole new world for me. I knew Lecrae, I kinda knew Andy too because obviously he worked with Lecrae. So
Yeah.
but, like, it was like a whole new world for me, so, like, I was learning everybody new, like, everybody was new to me, I was new to them, I was digging deep into catalogs and hearing songs from, like, years ago, but they were new to me, so,
Mhm.
it kinda lit this new fire in me, and it was like, man, there's so much good music in Christian hip hop, there's so many talented artists, and obviously the message is all for Jesus, so it's like, man, this is what I needed. Like this really helped me, help
Right.
find my purpose again because I didn't really want to do music anymore because I wasn't being fulfilled. Like I was doing it, for myself. I was making songs that I didn't even really resonate with. So now doing it for God, working with people that had been doing it, finally finding like that brotherhood of people that was very important to me that I just never had before. Do you have people around you like that, like on your team or like people around you that like a brotherhood to you that you can kind of keep focused with, like on God together?
Yeah, there's a couple of people who I share like like even with my coach, like I share Bible scriptures with him like every day. Like we send that going like back and forth. Or like we'll just be in the locker room, or sometimes we'll just talk about something like we find interesting, like in terms of like Bible scriptures and verses. So yeah.
Man. Man, and it's huge. Like I know in sports, sports and faith kind of resonate with you. Obviously, you praying before the game or breaking the huddle with prayers, and you hear people. I think more so now, like in press conferences or whatever. Like you see it more now, and then people are
Yeah.
are starting to be more open about it. That's kind of what led me to the podcast because I would see athletes like sharing their faith and, obviously I love sports and I wanted to do something that I didn't want to just do a sports podcast. It had to
Yeah.
be, it had to be something more meaningful. It had to be Christ centered. It had to be, and it just clicked. Like, I was like, "Man, that would be dope just to have, like, athletes not only talk about, like, some sports stuff, but, their personal faith and to where they can share it, be unashamed about it." Um, so yeah, man, just seeing athletes like your dad, like other people who are unashamed of it, like, I remember he said something like, "I don't care if I lose every endorsement that I ever had." He said, Imma say what he was being,
Yeah.
vocal about, his activism and his faith. It's like, I don't care, and, like, having that boldness is huge, and that's what we strive to be, unashamed. I just released a song called "Unashamed," based on, Romans 1:16. "I'll never be ashamed. I'm not ashamed of the gospel," so,
Yeah.
um, I know that's probably what you live by as well. What is when you think of your favorite, Bible verse or something that you like to share with your coach or with teammates or with someone even new to the faith, what Bible verse do you think would come to mind when you're sharing with others?
Matthew 6:34. What? Therefore, don't be worried about tomorrow, for tomorrow worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble on its own. I feel like
Amen.
I really feel like that's just for life. Like,
Absolutely.
I mean, I know that like I sometimes struggle with anxiety. A lot of people do, and like you focus on what's on your plate and what's on in front of you. But I feel like for me, it's just like take it one day at a time. Like you're gonna stress yourself out. You worry about tomorrow. Like just take one day at a time.
Absolutely, and you took the words right out of my mouth because I was like I
Yeah.
said, I was just dealing with some stuff like that, like anxiety, something that I always had. Like, I didn't really understand that I had anxiety. I didn't know what it was. I thought that was just,
Mhm.
I knew I had some, like, depression type issues, but that kinda goes hand in hand with that
Yeah.
verse because I was so stressed out about something that was out of my control. And I know one that's around, I think it's Matthew 6 too, is seek the kingdom, seek first his kingdom and all
Yeah.
the
Seek
things will
first.
be
Yeah.
added to you. So that's something that I had to tell myself too. And that's where my ministry is called Stay Focused because I would always lose focus. Like I would start off great. Like I would start off on the right path, on fire for God. I'm doing good and then something would happen or I would just lose focus and I would veer off to the left or to the right. And, I relapsed on alcohol. I dealt with alcohol issues, depression issues, just life. Life would
Yeah.
would creep up on me and instead of running to God, I tried to try to handle things myself like a lot of people do. And then like you said, man, we gotta seek the kingdom, not do it ourselves because we don't have to. That's the best
Yeah.
news
So,
is that we don't have to do it alone. So, that's something I had to learn along the way. But yeah, bro, thank you so much for doing this, bro. Thank you for being here.
man,
You know,
thanks
I
for having me.
appreciate your time. If there's anything else that you would tell someone, coming up in the high school, in high school sports, what advice would you give to the next generation of kids coming through there about going to that next level?
I would just say, be receptive to any coaching, any learning. Always be willing to learn. Um, I would always just say, just be the hardest worker, and just let the results speak for itself. Because at the end of the day, they will.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Shout out to my coaches, man, because, coaches will instill that discipline in you that obviously as a kid you might not have. You might not have that discipline at home. And I had some coaches that kept me in line that would instill like
Yeah.
that. I know specifically my basketball coach, Coach Smiley, he kind of took after Bobby Knight a little bit. Not to the point of like the
Yeah.
outburst, but like his practices were very strict. They were very hard and you felt like, man, like this ain't what I signed up for. I just want to play basketball. But of course, like over time, it pays off because you're in better
Right.
shape, you're in better discipline. Obviously you want to be like you said earlier, you want to pride yourself on being the best defensive player in your conference. So obviously you need discipline for that. And
Right.
that's the stuff that nobody kinda talks about. Everybody wants to be the scorer. Everybody wants to be flashy, and obviously you can dunk, like, you have some great highlights, on your offense, but you very rarely do you hear someone kinda take the Tony Allen approach, the Patrick
Yeah.
Beverley approach to where it's like in high school, Patrick Beverley, I think was averaging 30, like, he was
Yeah.
going crazy in
Yeah.
high school, and so, like, for him to transition and say, "You know what? I'm just gonna be a lockdown defender," and play that role, like that's something that you seem like you're very disciplined on that you have set for yourself, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah, so man, keep going, bro. Stay focused.
appreciate it.
Hey, stay focused, brother. And hey, thank y'all for tuning in. And hey, y'all be sure to follow Anquan on all social media. Keep up with his what he's got going on. Keep up with his family, and wish him nothing but the best, man. Stay focused, and God bless y'all.